May committee meeting to order and welcome everyone at home. And first thing on the agenda, I need to remind everyone it's our own responsibility to close any pecuniary interest that you may have on today's agenda. Hearing none at this time, we can move right into action items. And 2A is a bridge and culvert capital on Mill Creek Bridge on Bruce Road 17, just outside of Port Elgin. And Brian, you can walk us through the report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairperson. The map identifies where the bridge is on County Road 17 on the east side of Port Elgin. It was built in the 1970s, composed of a traditional 7-inch deck at the time, which normally now we're a 9-inch deck, and as the pictures show, it is suffering. The superstructure deck, steel girders are suffering. Some of the details you see before you. We made an application in 2015 to OCIF application-based and were unsuccessful in receiving funds. There is a developer further east interested in moving ahead, and I think they're entering arrangements with Saugeen Shores to do servicing very shortly. What has happened is, departmentally, we had hoped to do the McCurdy Bridge in 2017. We were expecting our $1.5 million allocation to bridge infrastructure to be spent on McCurdy in 17 and 18. With the hesitation because of the species at risk on McCurdy Bridge, it means that opens up the envelope for other work in the 17-18 time period. So we're hoping to move this project ahead. So with that recent deferment of the McCurdy Bridge from 17-18 to 18-19, it allows us to do another bridge of about this magnitude. We'd had it on the docks. We've done some preliminary work on it. It requires the final engineering to be done and prepare a tender. It is our hope to move ahead with a tender in this fall to allow the work to occur in the spring of next year. And to do that, Mr. Chairman, requires the assignment of an engineer. We approached BM Ross. They provided an estimate in the amount of about $57,500. And I'm before you today to ask for your confirmation that we engage them to do the work to facilitate a tender in the fall. If I can offer, regardless of whether it's galvanized steel girders going back in or pre-stressed concrete girders, you have to get in the line quickly to get the girders prepared in order to do the work. So if we tender in the fall, the girders will be ready for a spring application. And if there's any confidence, Mr. Chairperson, there is no in-water work. So we're not exposed to the uncertainties that we seem to encounter when we're near water.
Okay, I'll read the recommendation that the submission to the BM Ross to prepare the design and specifications for the Mill Creek Bridge rehabilitation in the amount of $57,500 plus HSD be approved. I have a mover for the motion, moved by Ann, second by David. Any discussion on the motion? Mitch, sorry.
Brian, is $57,000 seems like a lot. Am I missing something? Because to me, that's a lot of money.
Usually we look at percentages. If I can offer from the municipal experience, I think $57,000 on a project that's likely going to be $1.5 million is representing that 3.3, 3.4%. And 3.4% engineering on a project is probably very modest. That is to take us up to award. That isn't in the administration of the project. Usually what happens is we return when we have the tenders and the award, know the contractor, and then make a recommendation based on that award as to which contractor it is, and then the engineers, the administrators have more confidence into how much time it will take to administer the job. So again, I think we're in that 3.3, 3.4% range engineering on total cost. And I think that's modest.
Brian, I see you're using the word rehabilitation on this bridge, and when you're pulling out the girders, like, when does this rehabilitation become a replacement? Like, what What are you actually thinking you're salvaging of the existing structure?
The 2 piers and the 2 abutments. So again, we're likely going to make adjustments on the abutments depending if we use concrete girders. Concrete girders will be a little deeper. Consequently, we'll likely be about a foot higher than we are right now. And we need to do more work on County Road 17 anyway. Naturally, just west of the bridge, there's no sidewalk on south side. And the sidewalk that's proposed on the bridge, some of that compensation will come from us working with Saugeen Shores, whether it's them or passed on to the developer. So there is more work to be done on the road work beyond the bridge, some of which is considered in the servicing agreement, I think, with the developer. We're working with the town, with their developer, to facilitate some of that work. So I'm sorry, so a rehabilitation versus reconstruction. I consider reconstruction when you're down putting new footings in, new piers and new abutments. So this is rehabilitation in the sense that we get to salvage an important component of the bridge. It's quite a long bridge.
Yeah, one side right to the other. But, okay, any other questions of the motion? All those in favor of the motion? That's carried. Thank you. And then, Brian, we're on to intersection identification lighting on Bruce Road 22 and Morrow Lake Road attached. Brian?
Mr. Chairperson, the report is in front of you. I often distinguish between illumination of an intersection and intersection lighting. We've got, as the map identifies, we've got 4 current locations where we've got illumination of an intersection. And if I can make the difference, an example of illumination of the intersection would be on County Road 4 at Morrow Lake, at County Road 19. If you can recall, we put illumination up at that intersection, and there's 2, if not 3 poles that illuminate the intersection so people can see the line marking, move into lanes, and see center line, and make the turns, etc. In Chesley, we've got the large stop sign in Chesley. We've got some turning lanes into Chesley as well, so we've got 3 luminaires there that illuminate the intersection so people can see the important maneuvers they have to do. Similarly, on County Road 23 at Lauren Beach, we've got an important installation there that allows us to put winter maintenance signs and close the road there, because oftentimes on County Road 23 from Lauren Beach into Kincardine is usable, but north of Lauren Beach on County Road 23 it has to be closed. So that allows Bruce Power to turn at Lauren Beach and use sort of a system created by Kincardine to get access to Kincardine into Bruce Power. So that's an I'm sorry?
To our famous gate.
Yes, yes. And recently we put another set of illumination up at the intersection of County Road 15 and the County Road 23. And again, that was to heighten awareness of the turning maneuvers at that intersection. So now let's jump to intersection identification lighting. We've got lots of applications where municipalities in the past have put a single light on a pole, typically a hydro pole, and just to show people where the intersection is. And that's what we're hoping to address today. Like I know on County Road 13, there are all kinds of these applications where there's single lights. Sometimes they're a pole on our road and a head that's way back in the boulevard. Sometimes they're on a pole down the side road. So my gosh, you're seeing a pole 30 meters, 100 feet from the center line of our road, but they tell people where the intersection is. And so in the past is usually the lights went on these hydro poles. We're now matured to the position where we've got locations where we have to address putting the lights on a new pole that's over the pavement so people have a better understanding of where the intersection is, and they're seeing some illumination on the pavement. So in order to deal with both the application of putting a light on a hydro pole and putting a light on a new pole closer to the pavement, we offer the new policy that's attached. So it does 2 things. It recognizes, yes, we'll continue with some of the installations we've got. Example, County Road 13, which is just a light on a pole, and a light on a hydro pole. And there will be examples where we've got, where we require, a municipality comes in, we say, okay, there's really no close hydro pole. If there is a hydro pole, the arm would be too long, it would be inconvenient, we need a new pole. So in that case where there's a new pole, we're suggesting that the policy recognize that the county makes some contribution a 50-50 contribution to the installation of the pole. The method of power connection, whether it be solar, whether it be a hydro connection, yet at the end of the day, the county would be responsible for the ongoing maintenance and power supply. If it's a standalone pole, not if it's a hydro pole. The subtlety is generally you have flat rate connections with Hydro One where we do not. We generally don't have flat rate connection. I've never done a flat rate connection on one of our poles, and we pay no bills for flat rate Hydro One connections. So that's why we're keeping the applications on hydro poles different than the applications on a new pole that either has a meter, that has a meter. If we go to a new pole, I think we have a meter. So that's the purpose of the policy, Mr. Chairman.
The recommendation is that the policy intersection identification lighting revised on May the 18th, 2017 be approved. Is there a mover for that recommendation? Moved by Dave, seconded by Robert. Any discussion on the motion?
Well, just where this came from, the folks out at the lake felt that there was a need for identifying the intersection, and especially in the wintertime. So, and our municipality is prepared to go 50-50 on that project. So it would be a new pole with a meter?
Yes.
Yeah.
If I can, Mr. Chairman, we were approached late last summer by Brockton, and it was one of those situations where we really didn't have a policy that could address it. And we were reluctant to say, okay, put another light on a pole way down the side road, because of course this is a road that the county built maybe 15 years ago, and Hydro doesn't follow it. Hydro actually is on the old easement, north-south, so there's no hydro pole anywhere close. So it required an application of a pole somewhere. And then we researched the policies of our neighboring counties. Grey County has a policy much like this, where when they need a standalone pole, that the county contributes 50%, local 50%, and the county owns it.
So what's the downside, Brian, to these lights being powered by solar? Do we have
there's
any?
Not. Oh, there's not.
Yeah.
But this doesn't obligate it to be powered by hydro. It's just one of the solutions. And the solutions are going to change based on which location you're in. Like if there's no hydro nearby, my gosh, you're going to end up carrying hydro for some distance to get it to her. And yeah, so we're examining whether solar will be sufficient. Again, we're at the sort of the top end of this. We're at the sort of the conceptual business. And I think each application will be a little different. But this is being permissive that we examine it, work with the municipality, and make a solution.
Any other questions on the recommendation? Hearing none then, all those in favor of the recommendation? Those opposed? And that's carried, Brian. So I think that takes us to item 2C, all-terrain vehicle use exemptions on certain county roads.
At the last meeting, Mr. Chairman, we brought correspondence to you from an ATV group. We further dialogued with them. They were specific on what they feel their current needs are. Right now, Bruce County has one location where we're permissive of having ATVs on our road. Again, to recall, the act is such that you have to write a bylaw to permit ATV use. You know, bylaws can be different. They can restrict or permit. This is an application where you permit. So by the time we were done with talking to this group, they were asking for permission for the 3 sections of road that are on the screen. One being on County Road 8 near the Sauble Beach area, the other being on County Road 13 between Old Elephant Road and Quarry Road, and the final application on County Road 9 from Highway 6 to the Burford Lake Road. And this will allow them to go through some of their trails and continue, north-south. I'm expecting, Mr. Chairman, that ATV use on our roads are going to grow. I know Grey County has their bylaw allows ATV use on the Grey Bruce line. I think it's south of Elvanley. I don't think it's on that section. I don't think it is. Carolyn would know and I do not. But I think from Elvanley down pretty much to Hanover, they're permissive to use the boundary road, which is kind of cool in the sense because that means you can drive northbound on their half of the road, but possibly not southbound within our jurisdiction.
You got no way of getting back.
But they can if they go in Grey County somewhere, I believe. Well, which is fine, but we've been talking to Grey County extensively on that, and they said they wanted to examine the ramifications of 1 year. So they've allowed it to go, I think, from last summer for 1 year, maybe last fall. So they're going to identify how it works for 1 year.
I've never seen one on that road.
Oh, I haven't seen one.
I was a little uncertain of the criteria, if they were responding to requests from the groups or if they chose certain corridors. Pat really didn't mention that when I spoke.
Okay, thanks, Brian. I'll read the recommendation then, that a bylaw be introduced to allow all trained vehicle use on a 1.2 kilometer section of Bruce Road 13 between Quarry Road and the Old Oliphant Road, and a 300-meter section of Bruce Road 9 between Burford Lake Road and Highway 6, and that bylaw 486 be repealed. Any move by Mitch, second by Milt. Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor of the motion then? Any opposed? That's carried. Brian, that takes us to items D, which is the Lucknow Shop 2017 improvements.
Thank you, Mr. Chairperson. The report is attached. I go to some of the attachments. We've got a picture of standing near the old shop, looking towards the new shop. Another picture standing on the municipal road, looking at the shop and seeing the slightly elevated area where the old shop was. Looking now on the plan, we see this is the road. I'm embarrassed. It's Ludgard Street, is it not? Ludgard Street. The new shop in here, the old shop that we removed the superstructure last year. We took the tanks out down there and we encountered a bit of contaminated soil. We realized we'd see more this year. So this year we took the slab and footings out of the old shop, and we were running contaminated soil along some drains here, there, and everywhere. So our cost for contaminated soil is going to be, we estimate, about $40,000 this year. We had a budget of $20,000, so we're asking that we move some reserve money that was, I believe, in the Lucknow shop. We are authorized to use that. Yes, it's Lucknow shop reserve money. We require committee's authority to use that, apply that funds to this application and so we ask that it be applied into the 2017 Lucknow shop budget, recognizing that likely the contaminated soil cost will be about $40,000. We also realize that it would be nice, in conjunction with our work in Lucknow this year, we're paving Campbell Street from Havelock to Ross, and on Ross Street from Campbell down 2 blocks. We're going to be doing that in preparation of getting things done in time for next year's Old Boys. It'd be nice to put in that tender, and Jerry has in the tender right now, I think the tender closes tomorrow now, is to put the provisional item for 600 ton of paving as you see around the shop. So the fellows have graded it up to accept 60 mil of hot mix, and we're hopeful that we can create budget money to do that in 2017. So in dealing with that, Jerry's looking ahead towards the work on Ross Street and on Campbell Street, and he feels that we've got adequate budget to take $20,000 off of the Ross Street component and $60,000 off the Campbell Street component to direct towards the shop to enable us to get about $80,000 worth of funds to do the paving in front of the shop, the site preparation and the paving in front of the shop. So at the end of the day, our budget item will be the Lucknow shop. It will include the contaminated soil, and it will include the preparation for paving and the trimming up of the site, totaling the $20,000 budget, the $29,000 from the reserve, and $80,000 from the other 2 projects as identified in the report. And with that, we've completed the contaminated area, we've got topsoil in the area, and we've graded the area, and we'll apply topsoil through the tender that closes tomorrow if we have your permission today. We can award that section tomorrow.
We'll find out here in a minute then, Brian. Here's the recommendation. The Lucknow Shop reserve balance of $29,000 be transferred to the 2017 capital housing for the Lucknow Shop budget to be used to pay for the removal of the contaminated soil and restoration of the property, and that the preparation and paving of a portion of the Lucknow patrol yard be approved, and that $20,000 of funds from the paved road capital Bruce Road 1A and $60,000 from paved road capital 86D be transferred to the capital and be transferred to the equipment and housing capital amount for the Lucknow Shop. You've heard the motion. Is there a mover and a seconder? Moved by Milt, seconded by Mitch. Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor of the motion then? Opposed? And that's carried. Brian, and that brings us to information items, which is the tender summary. Anything you want to comment on there, Brian?
Not really, Mr. Chairman. I think it's fairly straightforward. We worked with Northern Bruce Peninsula and tendered with them for gravel on the West Road. And the truck came in as we expected, the tandem truck tender 1707. And the calcium applications for our West Road application, as well as some on County Road 1 as we do that reconstruction this year.
Any questions on the tender summary? Mitch?
Just the tandem, you had 270 budgeted and 148.
I think committee considered a report earlier this year on the box.
Sorry.
And, yes, from Viking.
Sorry.
So, yeah, actually, good point. I think I was told, Mrs. Dillon would know, that I think we remain on budget with the 270 when we include the two. I think.
Well, that's a good way to leave it, Brian. Let's just say we're on budget and go with it for now. That next meeting then is June the 15th. And if there's anything further from anyone, then we'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Moved by Ann, seconded by Robert. We're adjourned. Thank you.
Super.
Sorry, Mr. Chair, I believe we have a closed item, don't we?
Was it in
Wasn't on the agenda.
HR? We could go, I defer to your willpower. I kind of thought it was HR.
Well, I apologize. I thought it was under the Highways Committee. There's nothing urgent, Mr. Chair, so we can have it come back at HR in June. Sorry.